It's that time of year again. The stores are packed with full-hearted Americans elbowing and shoving each other to attain just the right thing to make their families love them again. Mariah Carey is everywhere. It's inescapable. And of course, corporations are pumping out as much half-hearted, wholesome Christmas advertising as possible. That's not the only thing commercial about Christmas. It all is. All of it. Forever. The thing is, though, they are advertising Christmas. Sure, we all love seeing the happy family cozied up around a fire in their matching Christmas sweaters. It's comforting, it's familiar, it may even remind us of home. But they aren't advertising family either. No, they're advertising capitalism, and Christmas movies are the worst culprits of all. It's a Wonderful Life, Ghost of Christmas Past, Elf, these are all stories of redemption. They're uplifting in that classic cinematically manipulative way. They want you to think that these are stories of people overcoming, making the right choices, and prevailing happier and more enlightened than when they started. But underneath all that, they're hiding a much more sinister message. That capitalism is essential to you and your family's happiness. That the reason for the season is commerce. Now, I'm not here to make the argument that we should put Christ back in Christmas or any of those nonsense talking points, but I also think it's important to decompress a little this time of year. Stress is running high, it's all anyone talks about. They don't know how they'll afford presents for everyone this year or make time to see everyone. This year is obviously a little different because of coronavirus, but let's stay on this train of thought regardless and take a look at a Christmas movie that's gained somewhat of a cult status throughout the years and is also a great example of exactly what I'm talking about. Jingle All the Way. Jingle All the Way was directed by Brian Levant and stars a powerhouse 90s cast including Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad, Rita Wilson, Jake Lloyd, Jim Belushi, and Phil Hartman. While it may not have been intended, Jingle All the Way is a terrific dissection of capitalism and consumerism through the scope of American life and how it pressures us into buying the love of those closest to us. Principal photography for the movie was even shot at the Mall of America, which in and of itself is a sort of monolith for capitalism and consumerism.
Ta-ta, Turbo Man.
Alright, so this movie follows Howard Langston, who's a workaholic, often absent father. He spends the movie chasing down a Turbo Man doll, which is like the hot new toy that season, for his son, Jamie. The movie starts out with Jamie complaining to his mom that his dad won't be making it to his karate class, because, you know, capitalism. And Howard doing all he can to both get his work done and make his son's class. Right out the gate, we get a great example of the uneven work-life balance expected and even encouraged by capitalism. Howard has to overwork himself to provide for his family, which in turn takes away from his time with his family. It's a seemingly endless cycle, which I'm sure most watching this video are well aware of. But this isn't framed as a shortcoming of capitalism. It's framed as a man doing what he has to, and doing the right thing. Try as he might, he ends up stuck in traffic while Jamie's karate class starts, where Howard's wife Liz, played by Rita Wilson, is watching from the stands with divorcee Ted, who is, pretty popular with the other mothers around town.
Ted, I was wondering if you'd mind taking a look at my porch light. Just doesn't seem to be working, and you being such a handyman.
Sure, I've got just the tool for the job.
He races through traffic and is accosted by a far too realistic cop.
Oh, I do apologize if I've caused you some sort of a delay. How thoughtless of me. Because the last thing that I want on my conscience right now is for a private citizen to somehow be disappointed in the performance of my duty.
And ultimately, he doesn't make it.
I didn't make it.
He makes his way home to find Ted on his roof putting up the Christmas lights, and his son giving him the cold shoulder for missing his karate class. Which, like, fuck you kid, your dad's doing his best. Anyways, Jamie storms off from his Turbo Man commercial and goes upstairs to read his Turbo Man comic. Howard talks to him and apologizes for missing so much. And as an apology, he asks Jamie what he can buy him for Christmas, because again, that's a normal thing to do when products equal happiness. To which he responds by telling him he wants a Turbo Man action figure. During that exchange, Jamie says this:
Johnny's gonna get one and so is everybody else I know. Whoever doesn't is gonna be a real loser.
Jamie is exposing a really nasty part of Christmas consumerism, which is the effect it has on kids. These commercials play right into kids' common insecurity of being accepted by other kids by making every new toy, game, or other trend the new cool thing. If someone doesn't have the new cool thing, then they won't be accepted. This leads to kids pressuring their parents with their emotional well-being, It's a marketing tactic often referred to as parent trapping, and it's disgusting. Howard tells Liz about his and Jamie's conversation, and Liz replies by asking if he had got the doll like she had asked 2 weeks ago. Howard plays it off and heads to bed. He wakes up and immediately takes off to find the doll on Christmas Eve, passing over-the-top Ted and his reindeer games on the way. The first place Howard goes is Toyco, where we're introduced to Myron, a postal worker and fellow father.
Man, where have you been? Don't you watch TV? We are being set up by rich and powerful toy cartels.
Oh, come
now
on.
You got these big fat cats sit there using working class just like me and you. They spend billions of dollars on TV advertisement, and then they sit there and use subliminal messages to suck your children's minds out. And I know what I'm talking about because I went to junior college for a semester and I studied psychology, so I'm right in there. I know what's going on.
The doors open and everyone rushes in, trampling the man at the door in the process. After some wacky hijinks, Howard finds them sold out and is told by Chris Parnell in a cameo they're sold out everywhere. After some more wacky hijinks, including chasing a lady down the street who had previously bought the doll, we see a montage of Howard trying desperately to find one and mindlessly ripping up a Turbo Man cardboard cutout when he can't. We pick up at Howard and Liz's house where Ted just kinda walks into their house, and now he's hugging Liz. Ted's a weird guy. He insists Liz go take some time alone and helps himself to Howard's cookies.
Who told you you can eat my cookies?
Howard runs into Myron again, and Myron offers to team up with him. When Howard declines, Myron gets upset, which helps spark the rivalry that runs throughout the movie. Finally, we arrive at the Mall of America, where he finds a large crowd gathering to take a number to potentially get their shot at buying a Turbo Man doll. After an extended scene of Howard chasing a ball around a playground, he runs into a shady mall Santa who says he knows where to get a Turbo Man doll. Howard is hesitant at first, but in desperation agrees to work with the sleazy Santa. Santa makes Howard drive out to a sketchy warehouse, where inside they find a ton of Santas running a counterfeit toy racket. The group initially quells Howard's anxiety over the legality of what was occurring by giving a rousing speech about helping children in a shanty-styled song called The Boy That Santa Forgot, only to immediately turn heel and make it very clear their only interest is the profits they stand to make. Howard reluctantly agrees and pays up, but is frustrated to find the product in bad shape and asks for his money back, which leads to one of the best moments in cinematic history as Howard has to fight off a mob of karate Santas. Eventually, cops show up and break up the brawl, and Howard escapes by posing as an officer. Defeated and pushing his now broken down SUV, Howard decides to stop and rest at Mickey's dining car. Back home, Ted is still being an over-the-top creep as the neighbors gather to take part in his elaborate Christmas festivities, where Ted's son suggests to Jamie that maybe his parents should get divorced. Why are the kids so damn mean in this movie? Jamie runs off and Liz chases after him, but not before Jamie picks up a phone call from his dad, where Jamie laments to his father that he misses him and doesn't want him to miss the parade he promised to go to. Jamie gives his dad more grief again, and Howard has some coffee at the diner, where Myron also happens to be. Myron again highlights a problem of Christmas consumerism.
Look, we get one chance a year to prove we're not screw-ups, and what do? We screw it up.
Parents are under so much pressure to deliver their children a magical Christmas, it can be a major source of holiday stress. Through pro-capitalistic media and subtle marketing tactics, parents are bombarded with themes equating providing your children with an extravagant Christmas bounty to being a good parent. Once again, these messages are obviously not intended to help parents provide an adequate experience for their children, but to play on parents' insecurities of their flaws as parents. This is especially heinous considering how many single-income parents there are in the United States. A lot of people, for a variety of circumstances, simply can't afford to provide those things, and it serves no one but the powerful to mount this pressure on them. As Myron and Howard exchange childhood Christmas stories, the radio cuts in announcing a call-in contest in which the first person to call and name all 8 of Santa's reindeer will win a Turbo Man doll. However, when Howard attempts to call the station, Myron rips the phone out of the wall and a fight begins. The owner of the diner reveals that the station is just down the street and the two dads race off in that direction. Howard is the first to arrive, but Myron shows up shortly after and literally threatens to blow the fucking place up with a mail bomb. After a short hostage situation, the radio host explains that the doll isn't at the studio and that the prize was actually a gift certificate for a Turbo Man doll. The men turn on the host but have to reconsider when cops surround the place. In their attempt to escape, they're surrounded by cops, but Myron once again uses a literal fucking bomb threat to get out of the situation.
This is nothing but a harmless Christmas package.
That was really a bomb? Just a sick world we're living in. Sick people.
Howard returns to Mickey's to find his car stripped for parts outside. He has a tow truck take him back home in time to see Ted putting the star on top of his tree. Howard's frustration boils over as he remembers Ted telling him about the Turbo Man he had wrapped under his tree and breaks into Ted's house. It's almost like the constant worship of goods leads to contempt and breeds crime or something, I don't know. Howard grabs the doll as Ted and Liz go outside to enjoy the carolers, but has a change of heart when he realizes what he is doing. As he returns the gift, an incident with a reindeer leads to a fire at Ted's house, leading to Liz confronting him over the Turbo Man doll in his hand. Liz isn't interested in Howard's explanation and insists Ted drive her to the Christmas parade. Howard decides to finish his redemption arc by showing up to the parade, and Ted turns on full creep mode and confesses his feelings to Liz, which ends with him getting smashed with a thermos. Howard somehow ends up being chased by a cop and ends up in a back room where he's briefed and put into a Turbo Man suit. He ends up on the Turbo Man float, where he's given a Turbo Man doll to give to a child of his choosing. He scans the crowd before finally finding Jamie. Jamie climbs onto the float and all is right, because again, products equal happiness. Just then, Myron swings down from a nearby roof dressed as Turbo Man's arch-nemesis, which makes no sense. It leads to a drawn-out fight scene that eventually leads to Howard saving the day, because of course he does. In the end, Jamie gives his Turbo Man doll to a handcuffed Myron because he realizes the value of family or whatever. We get a short scene back at Howard's house to set up a sequel that never happened, and roll credits. So the question I posed remains. Is this Christmas movie capitalist propaganda? My answer would be, yeah, kind of. While Jingle All the Way often attempts to satire and play up the toxic consumerism surrounding the holiday, it still frames it as an individual problem rather than a societal one. Capitalism can only survive if you're incentivized to keep buying things, and blood-sucking corporations are happy to take advantage of your insecurities to ensure you do so. This video isn't meant to discourage you from watching holiday movies. I personally love them, but at times I think it's important to take out the microscope and really see what's underneath the fuzzy feelings. Anyways guys, thank you for watching this video, the first Anti-King video I've made. I'm really excited about doing this channel. I'm already having a blast doing it. Sorry about the crappy camera quality. I'm kind of just working with what I have for now. Please like and subscribe, share, comment, watch again if you want. I'd really appreciate it. From what I understand, these types of videos don't monetize very well on YouTube, so in the future, be on the lookout for a Patreon for some kind of exclusive content or something. Until next time, wear a mask and be safe. Things are starting to get crazy out there again.